Welcome to Live at 12:05 here at the Isle of Wight County Museum. We are in the Sprig Wing today at the museum, and we're going to look a little bit closer at a cool collection of faunal remains that we just got in. My name is Rachel Popp. I'm the curator here at the museum, and our guest here,
Nicole Talton with Isle of Wight County Economic Development.
So a lot of the remains that we're going to be looking at today, faunal remains, aka animal bones, do tie in a lot to the economy that was going on here early in Isle of Wight County. We really appreciate Nicole being here today. But there's some interesting tidbits that we really learned from some of these remains, and we won't get too far into it today because we've got a little bit more excitement going on over here. But there were some interesting things. For example, a lot of the livestock that were basically free-range eating in the area did bring wolves into the area, which we typically, thankfully, don't have to deal with much in this area today. So there are some interesting things that occur here in the local environment and in response to some of those livestock coming in as well. And we learn a lot from the remains that we see based on what people were eating, what were people butchering, what kind of livestock was here, and other things like that. So we're going to dive right in. One of the things I was telling Nicole earlier is that what's interesting about getting different collections like this in is that we don't use the scientific Latin names for a lot of these animals very often. But when we get these remains back from a lab, they are typically, not always, but typically identified by their Latin scientific names. And so it's interesting, kind of a little test sometimes to see what animal is this again. We can get clues sometimes just by looking up the name, sometimes clues from the actual scientific name itself, and then also clues from looking a little bit closer sometimes at the bones, the remains themselves. So there's a couple of really kind of interesting ones here. We've got some livestock, some birds, we've got some fish, a whole bunch of different stuff. So Nicole and I are going to go through, take a little bit closer look at a couple of these bones and see if we can figure out what they are just from the scientific name and taking a little bit closer look. So the first one up is this piece here. Would you like to take a little bit closer look?
This is very interesting.
What do you think?
I don't know.
So the scientific name is Odocoileus virginianus.
And what do we think that is?
It's not a livestock animal here.
It's a bird.
Jennifer's over there giving you some hints.
It's a deer.
Yes, very good.
Right.
It is a deer.
Okay.
I know. I thought it was interesting that part of the name, because white-tailed deer are very much a big thing here, that part of the name does have Virginianus in it, or Virginia as part of that name as well. So this is a portion of the antler. We can see this is where it goes against the head. So I see what you said about it looking like maybe a neck or something like that. So the actual other portion of the antler, the pokey part that all the hunters get excited about, would be over up here. But there were some interesting things that I found out about antlers, which is that they grow really fast. They're one of the fastest growing tissues in the animal kingdom, and during peak growing season, they can actually grow about a ½ an inch per day.
Oh, wow.
Which is wild. I had no idea that they grew that quickly. So that's really interesting there. But yeah, so that's a white-tailed deer. Obviously, we have quite a few of those around, eating everything off the trees over at Windsor Castle and the like, and interacting with all of our visitors. So we do have a lot of deer in the area. So this one here is also interesting. So some of these are just identified based on the scientific name or based on the animal, but some of these also do identify what particular bone it is, if there's enough bone. So we can see here that this one's a metatarsal. So this is a metatarsal bone. And then we've got the scientific name here, Ovis aerius.
Ooh, metatarsal is foot. I do think I remember that from science class. Yes. Looks like kind of like a chicken bone, but it's a foot bone.
It does look a little bit like it'd be a very big chicken, I will say.
Yes, absolutely. It's kind of cool.
So remember, we've got livestock, we've got a couple of wild animals, we've got, I would say more small animals as far as some of the fish and the birds and things like that. That one's a little bit bigger. Any guesses on Ovis aerius?
Ovis.
Aries? I know, this one stumped me, I will say.
I
had to look it up.
Any clues? Just tell us. The suspense is killing me.
She's like, just tell us. So that's actually sheep bone.
Oh, a sheep bone. Oh,
yeah. Now, it's interesting about the just the livestock in general over here is that they are not typically native to North America. So when we think about all these English settlers coming over, a lot of times we don't think about how crowded the boat would be with livestock on it as well. So the sheep and a lot of the other livestock as far as cattle, even honeybees are all brought over on ships. So this would have been one of those sheep likely brought over on a ship and trying to basically establish a herd here of sheep. All right, so up next, let's see, what are we gonna do next? Let's do this one next. Okay, I'm gonna flip this over because I think it's easier to identify. And you're welcome to touch it if you want. I just thought that the smaller pieces.
These are small, so. Let's see, we said we had livestock, have we had any birds yet, maybe? No,
not yet, we haven't had any yet.
It's a shark, no, it's not a shark tooth.
So, this is a Terrapene Carolina, and I just wanna add that I have no idea if I'm saying these Latin words correctly. So we're having a good time over here. But Terrapene Carolina.
Like maybe turtle?
Yes, very good. I was gonna say, I feel like terrapene, yep. Yeah. That definitely helps with identifying it. So this is an eastern box turtle. We can see it's a little bit of the shell right there. And the eastern box turtles are kind of interesting because they were recently, pretty recently added to the endangered animals list. Partially because people think they're really pretty, which they are, and keep taking them into their homes as pets, and they do not do very well as pets. So anyways, we will see a lot of these stay kind of in a general area, and so sometimes you'll see the same eastern box turtle over and over, come visit your backyard regularly throughout the year. So definitely if you want to name your little buddy and see them regularly in your backyard, but please don't take them inside. We can be your outdoor friend. All right, this is an interesting piece here. We can see it's a little bit more porous.
It is.
This one's scientific name is Ameiurus catus.
Not ringing a bell with that, but it's very light and airy. So I would think a bird would probably, or some type of animal in flight, because like you said, it's very porous.
It is very light. There's one other animal that we need to be very light. It'd be fish.
Oh, a fish, of course. All right.
So yeah, so we have, it's very porous piece. This is a piece from a white catfish.
Oh, okay.
So we can get that a little bit from the, I'm assuming the catus part of the name. They are really interesting. Apparently they are the smallest of the large North American catfish.
Oh.
And also they don't have scales, which is kind of unusual for catfish. So they're kind of slick and sleek and a little odd. Next up, let's see, let's do this one. I'm definitely gonna butcher this one's name.
Little bones.
All right. So we can see here we've got a little jawbone with one tiny little tooth still in there. Definitely a little pointy tooth, so probably a little bit more carnivorous. And then very, very small animal, but we are seeing some similar bones to what we see in a lot of our mammals. So,
giving me clues. Mammal.
I know, I'm working on it. I'm trying. Pointy teeth, little pointy teeth. All right. So the scientific name is Urocyon, which is not that helpful.
No, not at all. It's a mammal on land.
Small, tiny, pointy teeth, bit of a scavenger.
No, not a weasel. Fox? I don't know.
Fox?
Fox.
Oh, wow. Wow. I did not give her enough hints to get to that conclusion. Very impressive. So this is specifically a gray fox, which I thought was interesting because I did not know that they are a different genus than the red fox, which is considered the true fox. So they're not really considered a true fox, the gray foxes. So kind of interesting, yeah. But yeah, very small. I know it's weird to say, but really cute teeth. We had some other teeth that were part of this this collection, and really kind of weirdly cute little pointy teeth.
I love it. The gray
I'm
fox.
sure I wouldn't feel that way if I was hanging out with one. Yeah.
No.
But really cool. They're also very skilled climbers, apparently. So I know, interesting, right?
Neat.
Yeah. So let's see, next let's do this one here. right? So this is a bag of mandibles and teeth. Once again, identifying what's actually in here. If you want to take a closer look, that's fine, feel free.
Sorry.
But they are from the caprine family.
Let's look at one of these. Interesting. Caprine. That doesn't. Is that a clue? That's not giving me.
Not really.
Okay.
Not a very helpful clue.
Let's see one of the.
We can see that the teeth, right, they're not very sharp.
Okay.
More likely to be a grass grazer.
Oh, okay. Maybe a cow or we already did a sheep, maybe. What else grazes grass? Goat? No?
Very good.
Oh,
Go.
okay.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to tell you that their babies are called kids before we get
I
it.
love
She's really good at this.
And it doesn't have the name on here, so I had no
It doesn't. No, there's no clue. Yeah.
Neat.
Isn't that neat?
Wow.
So goats, and I didn't share this earlier because I think it's a really interesting fact, but apparently goats and sheep both have a square pupil, and it allows them to see really broadly their surroundings, even when their heads are down, and so they are pretty good at picking out predators.
Okay. That's neat. I've got to look at that the next time.
Right?
Square pupils.
I know. So really, really interesting. And like sheep, like we talked about earlier, this is definitely something that would have been brought over on ships. So a lot of our livestock, our sheep, our pigs, our cattle are all being brought over on ships, and there's a lot of early laws and rules too about whether or not you can butcher your own livestock, trying to establish those natural herds here. So that's really interesting too. Okay, last but not least, we've got this interesting piece here. These are not teeth.
Ooh, they look like teeth.
I know they do. These are not teeth.
Is it the beak?
No.
Okay. Well, what is that? They're not teeth.
I guess I didn't pull any birds for this. I was very
I'm
distracted
waiting
by
for the
all
birds,
the cool stuff.
Rachel. I
I'm
know.
sorry.
But
I'm
that
letting you
looks-
down.
That looks like a.
It's not teeth.
Wow. Ooh.
Does the hand gesture help?
Claw, a crab.
Yes.
Crab, of course, Virginia crab.
I was gonna say I can go like this if it helps. Yes. So these specifically were labeled as Calanectus sapidus, which are blue crab.
Oh, blue crab. Very
blue
popular.
crab.
Yes.
Yep. And the scientific name translated from Latin supposedly means beautiful, savory swimmer. That is supposed to be where the name comes from.
How about that?
I know. What an interesting and eclectic group of items too. I mean, this just came from a singular box. We have several that came in from this particular archaeological site. And so really, really amazing to see all of these different animals from the Boothe site and just, everything that we're seeing. There were several different types of crabs. So most likely they're eating crabs. We're seeing, antlers from the deer. Some of the bones as well are marked as worked, which means that they probably are worked in order to be used for different tools and stuff like that as well. So there's some interesting pieces as well, yeah. So we're really excited to have the Boothe Site archaeological stuff, specifically the faunal remains, the animal bones, here with us at the Isle of Wight County Museum. We're learning so much more about the site from it, so thank you to the family that did transfer that collection to us. And we are very excited to learn a lot more about the Boothe site as we start going through what we've gotten into our collection and interpreting it and talking more about the history of the Boothe site. So thank you so much for joining us, Nicole. Seriously, I did not give her that many hints. You are very good at this. Maybe I need you to come identify the rest of the collection for me.
I don't know. Who knew bones could be so much fun? I mean, it actually is interesting. So this is cool.
You have a secret superpower you didn't know about until now.
I love it.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for joining us for Live at 12:05. We look forward to seeing you again next week.